we're back in DayZ. We're on Xbox One. We're checking out a modded server with some details about the game and generally some exciting information, I suppose. This is the server we're playing on. Hopefully the 100 times loot is true, because last time the 100 times guns in whatever server that was did not actually have that many guns. So with that, whoa! So with that, the big information that we have today is the fact that we are going to see a couple more updates this year. So with DayZ, if you're not familiar with the game, they update it from time to time. We get usually 1 or 2 updates a year, or maybe even more, depending on how soon the release was and how big the updates are. So with that, we are actually getting somewhat of a confirmation that they are looking at releasing 2 more major updates this year. As I had sort of, I guess you could say, predicted or mentioned in prior videos, I did feel that we were going to get confirmation that we were going to see updates up to 1.10 as being sort of the final planned updates that we're going to be getting for DayZ. So we don't know if it's going to continue after that particular moment, but we do have the confirmation now that they are investigating 2 big updates for this year, alongside a number of smaller hot fixes and updates throughout the year that might pop in. So with that, they're looking at having a healthy ratio of new content, bug fixes, and balancing. They're going to inform dates / content info closer to the time of the release, just like usual. And again, also small patches depending on the situation. So very likely you're going to see a couple big updates this year. And then with that, they're also going to do a couple hot fixes that usually come within the week almost of when they do a release, just to check things out. And don't forget, this is a really cool jacket. I don't think I've seen this before. With that, because I guess it's an assault vest. Like I was saying, with that, they are going to, I'm assuming, continue to use the experimental server, which is a free download for those that own DayZ digitally. So be sure to check that out if you want to see all of the new features for the game ahead of them actually being generally available for the public use, which is sort of, kind of expected due to the last cycle for update content. So that's kind of what they were looking at. I also will note with a quote, we are still committing to the release cycle as already promised and expected for 2 more this year. So I guess we did kind of talk about that, but I think this is just good further confirmation that yes, we're going to see 1.09. Yes, we're going to see 1.10. Now with that, we don't really know what sort of update we're going to see. They have talked about restoring the Broken Bones system. A long time ago, they talked about adding the bow and arrow to the game. I don't know if that's still happening, because I have yet to see them talk about the bow and arrow in like a good year and a bit. But they did say back in the day that it was something that, they were looking at doing. So that's very well something that could happen, or maybe not at this point. Again, when you hear certain things and development happens over time, priorities shift, and that could just be something that's going to happen, is the fact that, wow, there's a lot of good loot here. They were not lying. Something that just, ends up not happening. And of course, I will try to keep you guys up to date on all of the news in regards to, what the announcements are, what they're doing with certain content. K101, K74U, guess we'll get rid of that, and we'll take the M4. Great, sounds good. Yeah, this server, again, will show off the online. Really great. They definitely deliver on the loot and the weapons and stuff, because I am seriously feeling pretty stacked, like I'm going to get blasted away without me even noticing. So going further on that, I think that's kind of interesting. I'd love to hear what you guys think of, the updates to that level of support, and what sort of content you'd really like to see with those updates. I mean, obviously, bug fixes are always more than welcomed. I would love to see some more varied content in regards to like the farming and some of the smaller like mechanics of the game. I'm really not sure what else they're gonna really add content-wise. And that might sound odd to some of you because I know there's like a big list of things you'd like to see, but they've been pretty, clear on certain things. They want to add, again, the broken bones. They did say bow and arrow a year ago, and I think they mentioned a couple other smaller things. With the smaller development team that's present, I don't think you're going to necessarily see like wildly different, updates and content to the game, but I think we're going to see more refinements and more getting DayZ to a cleaner spot. Now, another thing to consider is that part of those updates, they might actually be the boosts, the optimization for Xbox Series X or the PlayStation 5 boost. That very well could be part of the updates that we're seeing. One of them, say 1.09 or 1.10, could be the optimized version of this game for a next generation platform. So that's something to keep in mind too. It might not just be, adding content to the game. It might very well be improving the title for those specific platforms. So it'll be interesting to see if that happens or if that is a separate update. But I would imagine they would roll that in. So with the current development cycle, which has been a little messed up, obviously, due to the global situation with a COVID pandemic going on, it took a lot longer for the development to happen. So we've only got not too many months left in the year. August, September, October, November, December. So we got 5 months. So we're probably going to see an update every 2 months, roughly. With that time scale in mind, assuming they are able to hit deadlines. So we'd see an update. The next update would probably be late September, early October, I would guess, as the update, assuming they are able to deliver on their timeline. And that would leave another update for, I guess, right near the end of the year, late December, because I think they like doing that. Maybe even early January, if things get pushed. So I would think that depending on when the October, it all depends on when the new consoles release, whether or not that this is going to get sort of roped into that particular update, if you know what I mean. You got to think about, that looked a little steeper than I thought it would be. You got to think about when this is going to release and how it's going to drop. They might ignore updates for the new consoles entirely. We do know that they're likely going to play on those platforms, but we don't know if there's going to be a new version of DayZ for those platforms or if they're just going to port over this one because it'll be available through backwards compatibility, I believe, on both platforms from what I've seen. So it'll be interesting to see if that is the case there, and just generally the level to which we are going to get these upgrades and these updates. And obviously bug fixes and balancing are going to be important too. I know that's a thing a lot of people like. I guess it's kind of hard for them to do a big change and also fix things. I guess they also need to adjust more of the fire stuff and return the spear crafting that they disabled, unless they reapply that in a hotfix patch recently, which I'm not sure if they did or not. But you get the gist of what I'm going towards in regards to trying to get an idea of when these updates are going to apply, what they're going to do. I think they're also going to blanket update them again because they've been getting pretty good at releasing the Xbox and the PlayStation updates around the same time. PC usually gets it a little bit ahead. Now that Xbox has experimental, I think we're going to get earlier testing on Xbox and hopefully get these console versions out faster, because I think they actually did a simultaneous release across console and PC last time for 1.08. So that's kind of interesting. Of course, I'll be covering them and giving you details as they're available. I just saw the particular point and I was like, that's actually kind of interesting and helpful. Something a little bit different news-wise, just kind of trying to keep up on, what they're doing with DayZ. I thought for sure I'd run into somebody at this point. Somebody way down there, I think. Not like I'd be able to really hit them too well from here. But you get the gist of what I'm saying. It's kind of a wait and see. It is nice to get little confirmation teases that, yes, they are still working on content. Yes, things are still going to be improved. And I know everybody's got a huge list of things where it's like, oh, I want to see this, I want to see that. So it'll be neat to see. Really? I died that fast. Hopefully the other guy died. But I'm just very curious what people want to see at this point, what you're hoping to see at this point, because I don't really have too many expectations for anything anymore in the game. Not being negative, just saying like I don't really know what they would add as a new content item for me to be like, oh, that's really cool and neat. I was not expecting that, because we've kind of gotten everything with DayZ, because it released very stripped down when it came out. I don't know if people still remember that, but after launch they added bases. They added, I think farming wasn't even there at launch. Like it was pretty bare bones. Like shelter building and all that didn't come until a little bit after, and they had a lot of issues with the original launch. But they've actually added a ton of the content to this version of the game over time. I'm hoping next year they still work on it more. I think it's really going to depend on kind of the sales and the support of the next generation platforms with what they're doing with DayZ. Knowing this company, I bet they've got I think they've probably got something hidden in regards to doing like an update or something, or new content for next gen platforms. I bet there's going to be like a DayZ PS5 or Xbox Series X edition of DayZ that they'll re-release as something. I hope that they don't, kind of gate it in regards to like making it not available with the backwards compatibility, but they could do that too. I mean, we really have to wait and see what they do in regards to updating the game and supporting it further. I'm very curious to see, what'll happen. Did I blow that guy up with a grenade? I did. I got him. That's funny. It's kind of humorous. But that's generally the gist of the details I wanted to go over today. I actually found a pretty great server for PvP action. I am quite impressed with this. I think it's like 32 players too. Frame rate, not fantastic, but that's going to happen due to the extra vehicles and the buildings they've added to this airfield and the concentrated conflict. But yeah, I hope you found this information generally interesting. I guess sort of spread it out, went over details and covered the gist of it. A lot of kind of speculating to a degree in terms of like what we're going to see in the game, but you never know until it comes out, right? I really thought they were going to work on like Broken Bones and stuff, and instead with this last update we got stoves in that. So there could be something like wildly different that they're going to be adding. I picked up an empty AK. There could be something wildly different that they're adding to the game with this upcoming update 1.09. It could be anything. Maybe they're going to add like zoo animals or something strange. We really have absolutely no clue, I suppose, aside from little tidbits that they've kind of mentioned. But hopefully they improve performance, improve smaller bugs, and just get it running as smooth as possible.